Hello, I'm Ellie Nieves, and I am your host for Christian Career Women Alive. The title of our podcast today is Creating Community Over Competition, and our guest is Kim Vanderpool. Kim is the CEO of Fresh Impact, a full-service social media and online marketing agency offering a suite of services to businesses who want to connect, communicate, and build relationships with their customers and employees through innovative, ethical, and intentional online marketing. Kim, welcome to the Christian Career Women Live podcast.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
So I am excited about the topic that we're going to be discussing today, but before we get to the meat of things, would you please tell us a little bit about yourself, Kim?
Sure. As you said, my name is Kim. I live in South Dakota with my husband. I'm a mom of 3 adult children, and I have 3 amazing grand blessings that I just absolutely adore. I do social media management, and on our own business, we contract with a couple other women. It's my heart and mission to be able to offer women the opportunity to work from home and still serve their families. And so I'm able to do that through social media. So that is kind of just the gist of it. A bit about how I kind of got into social media was when about 11 years ago, I was just turned 40, got diagnosed with breast cancer. Was given the diagnosis that I only had 30% chance to live. So that kind of gives you that big old wake up call, like, oh my goodness, what's going to happen? We did treatment. We did, spent the 2 years doing that. And I kept asking and praying to God, like, is there something more that I'm missing that I should be doing in my life? I was a nurse. I loved being a nurse. I was a good nurse. I really enjoyed taking care of my clients and my patients. But started asking those questions and came across an organization online. I was just searching like Christian business, Christian kind of, and Facebook, and came across iBloom, which is they no longer are doing this focus anymore, but they were to help women learn to live and work in their priorities. So I started following along with them, and about 2 years into it, doing all the questions and really some self-reflection, they had a course about being a social media manager. And I had no idea of never wanted to run my own business, was not even on my radar to run my own business. Well, I took the social media management course and found out I loved it, that it was a perfect blend of all the skills that God had blessed me with. So I started taking on clients and soon had more clients. I was working full-time with Fresh Impact and full-time with my nursing job, and I couldn't do it anymore. So I made that really tough choice, like, do I go on my own or stay? And launched Fresh Impact, and that was about, we've been doing it full-time for almost 5 years now. So
Wow, what a blessing.
yes.
That's really amazing. So what kind of clients do you work with?
We work with a variety of clients. I have some Fortune 500 clients. I have some mom and pop clients in the brick and mortar building. We really have a passion for like in the healthcare field. So home care, nursing homes, chiropractors, health coaches kind of are a strong passion. I do work with a lot of coaches, which I really do enjoy. One of the criteria or kind of the things that we look for is if someone believes that social media works and they want to connect with their customers online, that's kind of a good indicator, because basically a lot of the philosophies, a lot of the strategies are the same. We just kind of tweak them per niche. But if I have to tell you and sell you on social media, then we're probably not a good fit. So
Good baseline, very good baseline.
yes.
So Kim, today we're going to talk about creating community over competition. How do you define competition?
Competition is, for me, looks different in a lot of different ways, but a lot of times it's just someone that is either in the same field that I'm in or the same niche, offering the same services. Sometimes it can be other even business owners that are not even in the same field necessarily, but they seem more successful. So yeah, anybody that is kind of, and I can usually tell if I personally feel like they're my competition, as I will maybe get, you get that little snarky attitude once in a while, or that little, you can kind of feel it in your spirit, like, oh, I need to stand back and look at this, exactly where is that coming from? And sometimes it's just that competition, like it appears that they're either doing something that you want, or they're better, or they're gonna get something you're not going to get.
Right, right, right. So why do you believe that competition is prevalent amongst women?
I think that, I think competition has been amongst the whole world ever since creation practically. I think with women though, it's not, it's kind of uncool to really say, she's my competition, or we don't want to really admit that we have these feelings of competition and often don't know even where they come from, or that we sometimes I found when discussing some of this, especially with my Christian friends, is like, we're not biblical, we're not Christian if we have these feelings of competition. And so if we identify them and really address them, then that must mean that we might not be cool with God type thing.
Right, right. And so interesting, right? Because, my next question for you was going to be, are Christian women immune from competition?
Right. And we're not. I think the key is how do we identify it and address it, and how can and especially when you have a Christian faith, using our faith and the love of God to really bridge that competition and make it a collaboration or a community event.
Right. So you say collaboration. You actually have a business collaboration right now that's called Grow Your Biz. Tell us the story about Grow Your Biz and how it was conceived.
Okay. Grow Your Biz. It's interesting because there was a local woman and she did web design and social media. I did social media, and then I helped my clients with websites stuff because there wasn't anybody that I really trusted, well, that I knew that I could trust to refer them to. So I was like, well, I can help you because I know how to do that. Well, so we were basically big competitors. We were both independent. We both worked on our own, and we did a lot of the similar things, but our focuses were different. And so we met for coffee. And just so that we've heard a lot about each other, we met for coffee, and then we decided we are competitors, but how could we collaborate? And so we ended up building a friendship, and then all my focus was on social media, so I could refer to her for web design, and then she could refer me for social media. So it worked great. We took our strengths and like, okay, this is how we can collaborate and help each other. And then we decided to form, we saw a lot of smaller businesses that couldn't necessarily afford our services, but we wanted to help. And so that's where Grow Your Biz came, is that it's a free community where people can come in and we can help them show up online through what we know.
That's such a wonderful story. And based on your experience, what kind of advice do you have for women who are experiencing competition at work?
Well, at work, if the person that you're experiencing competition with, first of all, invite them for coffee if they're open. You never know. Maybe they'd be invited for coffee, and see if you can't start even just a small friendship, because that really helps I know who that person is. And I find that when we know who they are and know that they have the same struggles we have, they are trying to show up in a world that is sometimes crazy, it gives you a lot more grace and a lot more love and understanding. And so seeing if you can meet on um, that pattern. And I pray a lot for my heart to be open when I come across competitors, or there's someone locally that is a big competitor and I don't really care right now the practice she's doing. I am really praying that God gives me grace and that I can show up and maybe help influence a more healthy way of reaction.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Such a great, tool. As Christian women, we should be praying about these things. It's very easy to show up for work or show up in the business world or show up in our niche as an entrepreneur and look around us and see the competition and think that we have to continue to resort to business tactics in order to succeed. But our first line of defense really is prayer, as you said. And then from there, we ask for wisdom and ask God, show us how we should be managing this situation. And hopefully he'll, give us the tools that we need to be able to foster that collaboration, just like he did for you. And what a wonderful way to bridge a gap is just asking someone out for some coffee so that you can establish some common ground.
Right. And on the, I can't remember if I didn't think I mentioned that we started something called Coffee and Connections locally. And that came out of that same spirit of collaboration, was that one of the struggles I was seeing as a woman is that we have a lot of networking events in our local area, but most of them, when I would attend, 75% of them were men in their 30s or 40s. And I always felt like I was having to sell myself. And I don't sell myself. It's like, well, here I am. I'm here to help you be enough. It felt so uncomfortable. So we just put it on Facebook that if is any woman business owner that would like to meet to just connect, we are meeting for coffee. We meet every other week at a local coffee shop. You are invited. The only promise is that it was for coffee and connections. We are not to sell ourselves. It was not a pitch fest. It was just to connect together. We've been in business, well, not in business, soda business, for over 15 months. Every other week we have met, and there is up to 30 or 40 women that show, and it's just to connect. And now with social distancing, we're meeting online every week. We just moved up to Zoom. But it's just been a great, what I've seen is that the industries will end up sitting by themselves. So the accountants will sit by themselves and, kind of one at the table, and the insurance, well, there's two gals that were in competitive insurance agencies doing exactly almost the same thing, but had different niches a little bit. I just learned that they meet once a month for coffee to get to know each other, so that if they have a client that comes in that they can't serve well, they can send them to the competitor. And it's just been beautiful, and amazingly how much work has developed out of it, like shared like business from it, just because we built that trust and we know these people, and even if they're competitors, because we can't all serve the same person.
That's great. That's great. Kim, you've given us so much to think about today with respect to creating community over competition. Thank you so much for your words of wisdom. How can our viewers and listeners get in touch with you and get to know more about you?
You can check me out on Facebook. It's Fresh Impact Facebook page, or online it is freshimpactllc.com.
Great. Thank you so much, Kim.
Thank you.
To all of our viewers and listeners, thank you so much for tuning in. Until next time, God bless.